Okay, I am glad to, excuse me, that we are live. Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you. I'm Anita C. Powell, and I'm here advocating for the awareness of rare diseases. And I became an advocate due out of necessity. What I'd like to talk about on this is lecture number 6, and I said, oh my goodness, we're coming along here, 6 lectures so far, and I began my rare disease advocacy awareness work maybe 2 months ago because I come on every other week and I missed last week, but I'm back. I'm back again. I'm Anita, and oh, the beautiful sun is out, so that's a good thing. What I want to do is talk about inflammation, but before I do, I want to share that okay, as far as rare disease, I had no idea about rare disease, different types of rare disease. There are many rare diseases, and what makes a disease rare is when only 200,000 of the population are diagnosed with it. There is no known cure for these even non-rare diseases. And I was talking with my daughter yesterday. We were just talking about different things, colds and stuff, and I was saying how sometimes when I come back from being out of town, I have these symptoms, like flu-like symptoms, and my sister, when I share with her, she said, well, maybe it's the climate change. And when I was sharing with my daughter, I was saying, I said, yeah, I said, I don't know. And for some reason, we just started talking about different things, and we started talking about illnesses and colds and flus and COVID and all kind of things. And we were saying how well there's no cure. And then I thought about it. I said, well, what? Where where is there no cure? And I forgive me if I'm going to keep correcting myself. There's no known cure for many diseases, disorders, syndromes, and conditions. Well, then I thought about it. I was talking with her. I said, but you know what? Where is there a cure? I mean, there's no cure for the common cold, known cure for the common cold, flu, different things like that. So that kind of just struck me. I just gave thought to that I never really thought about how, well, where is there known cure? Now, getting to that, I just said that because that was just on my mind and it just popped up. I'm just sharing it. But I wanted to share as far as rare diseases, there are many of them. I'm specifically centering on systemic sclerosis and also called scleroderma. And systemic sclerosis is it's typically diagnosed with women in their 40s up. However, that's typically. Now, it also can affect children and men. As a matter of fact, I saw maybe last month or something. I watched a or read something because I'm always reading and watching something. So either read or watched how uh, I read about two men. Two men were diagnosed with scleroderma when they became 65. So, or systemic sclerosis, and systemic means everywhere, and sclerosis means hardening of the skin. Uh, Scleroderma, Greek word. Anyway, I shared that with you guys before. Well, with systemic sclerosis and other disease disorders, syndromes, and conditions, I'm reading and learning that it starts with inflammation. And this is where I want to come and share some information with you guys. I'm going to be mindful of the clock because I said no more than 15 minutes for these lectures. Now, one thing with systemic sclerosis, it is more pronounced in within the Black population. Okay, it can be more serious in the Black population. However, there are clinical trial studies and different things like that, so that with systemic sclerosis and all of the disease, disorder, conditions, and syndromes, there are such things called clinical trial studies where people are able to participate. And it's a double blind kind of study. One may be given a placebo, while another given the actual medication, and that's how it's within groups. It can be determined if this particular medication or cocktail of medications work for this particular condition. Well, with the clinical trial studies, um, it's the clinical trial studies are being more. Let me say, I just are more so. They're not more so for not more so for the white community, but because the black population and those diagnosed with systemic sclerosis is going either unreported or whatever. I don't know. I'm still researching, but we are underrepresented, and that's we're underrepresented. And when these clinical trial studies come about, being underrepresented, then these clinical trial studies may not be as effective for us as it would be for for the non-white, I'm sorry, non-color community, people, not people of color, because we have to go into the genome and the mitochondria. These things are different. Our DNA, RNA, all of these things are different. So I'm only saying this because we need more clinical trial studies that will focus on the black and brown population, so that these clinical trial studies we can learn more about how to better treat and how to advance the treatment of systemic sclerosis and other disease disorder condition syndromes within the black community. Now, one thing about this thing is that there's I was talking with someone about this, and they were saying, well, within our community, we may not, as far as the black community, we may not, or population, we may not be readily acceptable to receiving or participating in these clinical trial studies due to past experience with the Tuskegee instrument experiments and different things like that. And I understand that. And also, other variables do factor. However, in order for in order for advanced treatment or more known treatment to become the possible, finding out the possible cure, whatever that cure is that's out there, because I believe everything has a cure, it's just unknown. Clinical, we need to participate in the clinical trial studies, and in order to become non-underrepresented, we have to step up there and participate, so that we can get better, and then also the future generations, or people that are being diagnosed every day with systemic sclerosis and other rare diseases. Clinical trial studies is one of the most prominent ways to get to learn, okay, how can we manage this? How can we handle this? How can we treat it? Although it may not be a known cure, and that's what I'm learning too. A lot of things may not have a known cure, however, it's treatable. But in order for it to be treatable, we've got to know the dynamics of what we're working with. In other words, the like I said, the mitochondria, the genome within the cell, how it mutates, how it changes, and our DNA, our RNA, because we are not uh, all races and things are not the same with the mitochondria, and that's the importance. That's why people of color, we need to participate more in these clinical trial studies, so that, like the GRASP project, what is that? The Genome Research African American Systemic Sclerosis Project. These people, these scientists, doctors, are actively focusing on the black and brown population to see how how they can come up with more treatment, advanced treatment, and productive and effective treatment, and even cure. for systemic sclerosis and other rare disease and disorder conditions and syndrome. Okay, so, but what I wanted to share, I spoke a little bit longer than what I thought. I want to share with you guys, I had watched a video. Her name was Dr. Elizabeth Ortiz, I believe, Dallas, Texas. She specializes in rheumatoid arthritis and and centering more specific with systemic sclerosis. And she was sharing that by the time systemic sclerosis, scleroderma, is diagnosed, inflammation had been in the body for years, for years. And that has gotten me to think, and this is really why I'm here for this lecture, is to talk about inflammation. Okay. Now, there inflammation is swelling, what, for lack of a better word, inflamed, I'll just say, inflamed areas or something that is inflamed. Bones are inflamed, tissues are inflamed, muscles are inflamed. Inflammation. And with systemic sclerosis, and I'm going to say some other autoimmune, because systemic sclerosis is an autoimmune disease disorder, as well as many, many rare disease or non-rare diseases. It's autoimmune. There's an autoimmune compromised system going on within us. My thing is, and I'm going for my physical at the end of next month. I'm going to write it in my book because I want to ask my doctor. I want to ask her, how is there a way that people can take some kind of test or some type of assessment to determine how much inflammation is in their system? Because if we can minimize, get to that inflammation at the onset, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I'm just doing one plus one. I mean, I'm going with my thinking with my heart and going with the logic of my heart and my head. I'm thinking, okay, if inflammation is like an attributable uh, uh, that's attributable to the beginning, the onset of these autoimmune disease, disorder, conditions, and syndromes, then if we stop the inflammation at the beginning, or at least minimize it, how, for me, that tells me just logically, that tells me that, okay, that can minimize any type of diagnosis in this area. So I just want to talk about the symptoms. You guys just take a look, just some of the symptoms. So now there's chronic inflammation and there's acute. Now chronic means continuous, and acute just means comes and goes, comes and goes, it comes and goes, that kind of thing. Um, and I have this. I'm looking at this thing here. They're saying there are 11 chronic inflammation symptoms. I'm sorry, balance issue, eye problems, flu-like symptoms, gastrointestinal problems, insulin resistance, muscle weakness, skin issues like rashes and hives, inflamed, widespread body fatigue, fibromyalgia, or fibromyalgia. Okay, so those are some of the things. Now, they talked about the difference between acute and chronic, and I shared with you guys with that. Now, what can cause chronic inflammation? These Here it says that autoimmune disorders such as rheumatoid arthritis or lupus, where the body attacks healthy tissue, because that's what uh, autoimmune conditions, compromised systems do. Most of them, what happens is the body, I think it's the white cells, our warrior cells, you know, they protect against these foreign bodies that come into our body, and they kill them off and protect, like the warrior cells, the white cells. Well, the warrior cells in an autoimmune compromised system does not recognize that other living, I'm going to say, the neighbors in our body, the white cells does not recognize, oh, they're supposed to be there, and it just starts attacking everything within our body, because the white cells are not recognizing them as, oh, that's a good thing. The white cells are recognizing that that's a foreign thing, that's a dangerous thing. We need to get rid of it. Okay, so that just to simplifying to simplify what I'm saying. The chronic inflammation, it can be it can come upon as chronic stress. We have we have got to eliminate this stress thing. We got to get a handle on our stress. We just have to. But it's just time to say, you know what? I got to start mastering this thing. No more about I can't do this, or I don't know how, or it's beyond my control. No, we need to step over that. Excessive alcohol consumption, obesity, smoking, or too much, too little exercise. Low back pain. And I found that interesting. If you're experiencing acute or chronic low back pain, that could be a sign of inflammation. And I'm only sharing this to say, let's start looking at holistically, looking at our bodies because I mean, it's all part of it, mind, body, soul, spirit. Not let's not let's quit neglecting. We talk about self care, getting our nails done, taking the time, meditate, chilling, and pampering ourselves. Well, one thing to pamper ourselves too is to um, is to take care of our bodies. Pamper. If there's something that is inflamed, then let's take care of it. And we can do better when we know better. And if we know that there is some type of and I'm going to have to close it out here. If we know that there's some type of inflammation, then our healthcare provider and as well as we can, as far as diet and different things like that, can maybe put a handle on it. I'm going to stop here because then I'm going to pick it up next time to talk about more about inflammation. I'm just going to get right to it because there are some easy ways to learn if we may have excessive inflammation because if we can take care of that and and get a handle on it, which we are able to do if we know about it, then I think that can be a big deal, a big positive, make a big positive difference in our lives. So that's all I have for right now. I thank you for listening. I should have said that in the beginning, but this is still kind of new for me, so I'm learning. I do see that I'm getting a little better. And that's, hey, that's cool. So anyway, again, I'm Anita, and if you want to reach me or have any questions, please feel free to call me at 313-605-8220. If you like this lecture number 6 about inflammation, please click on my YouTube channel. I want to grow it. So that's one of my things that I want to do here. So I'd like, so please, if you're so kind, please think to consider to subscribe. Again, my email address, if you want to reach out to me, is tapintoyou@gmail.com, and that's simply TAP, the letter N, the number 2, YOU@gmail.com. And if you'd like to join the autoimmunity Facebook private group room, post below because I'm post below for me, and I'll make sure that I include you. So yeah, and then the walk. There's the walk on June 4th. If you're interested, that's just next week, next Sunday. If you're interested, also send a note to me some kind of way, and I'll be sure to uh, share that information with you. And if you'd like to join the walk with me, as far as the overall walk is for being a rare disease awareness advocate, I would be so honored and blessed if you'd like to join me. All right, so we know that the journey of self recovery is absolutely beautiful, and I hope you know so beautiful. Both he and she, so are you. So let's elevate and touch on that trust and tap into you. As you tap into you, I tap into me. We tap into we because we know it is one energy and one love. Blessing, peace. See you next time on inflammation.